When all those palace ladies and concubines standing behind the kingfisher screens heard pilgrims speaking of eliminating any evil consequence, they ignored the observance of proper etiquette between men and women and all walked out together to bow to him, saying, "We beg the divine monk, the venerable Buddha, to exercise his mighty magic power. Please pull the grass up by the root and exterminate him thoroughly. For this profound act of kindness we shall repay you handsomely." Returning their bows hurriedly, Pilgrim pressed the king for the address of the Taoist. Somewhat abashed, the king spoke up. "When he arrived 3 years ago, we did question him, and he told us that he lived not too far from here, in Pure Fluorescence Village on the Willow Slope south of the city, some 70 miles away. Though the royal father-in-law was aged, he had no son, only a daughter by his second wife. Having just turned 16, she had not been betrothed to anyone, and he was willing to present her as a tribute to us. Since we loved the girl, we accepted her and took her in as a palace consort. Then we were afflicted by illness, which the repeated efforts of the imperial physician could not alleviate. The royal father-in-law told us that he had a divine formula, which required the hearts of young boys to make soup for supplement. It was our folly to have believed in his words so readily. The boys were selected, and the noon hour today, in fact, was to be the appointed time for their hearts to be gouged out. Little did we anticipate that the divine monk would descend to our realm. When we discovered that the boys in the coops had disappeared, he convinced us that the divine monk, who had practiced the cultivation of realized immortality for 10 incarnations, had never permitted his original young to dissipate. If we could acquire his heart, he said, it would be 10,000 times better than the hearts of the little boys. That was the reason for our misguided affront offered to you. We did not know that the divine monk would recognize the fiendish demon. We beseech you to exercise your vast magic power and eliminate all evil consequences, for which we shall thank you with the wealth of a nation. To tell you the honest truth," said Pilgrim smiling, "those boys in the coops were hidden by me on the merciful request of my master. Don't speak of repaying us with any wealth or riches. When I've caught the fiend, that'll be my merit." He then called out, "8 rules, follow me quickly." "I'm glad to obey you, elder brother," replied 8 rules. "But my stomach's so empty, I can hardly exert myself." The king immediately asked the court of imperial entertainments to prepare a vegetarian meal, which soon arrived. After he had eaten his fill, 8 rules roused himself and mounted the clouds to rise into the air with Pilgrim. The king, the queens, and all those civil and military officials were so taken aback that they fell to their knees and kowtowed to the sky, all crying, "True immortals, true Buddhas have descended to earth." The great sage took 8 rules straight to a place some 70 miles south of the city, where they stopped the wind and cloud to look for the fiend's dwelling. All they could see, however, was a clear brook flanked by thousands of willows on both sides, but the Pure Fluorescence Village was nowhere to be found. Truly, acres of wild paddies, an endless sight. Banks of misty willows, but no human trace. After the great sage Sun had searched in vain for the fiend, he made the magic sign and recited the immortal word O, with which he at once summoned into his presence the local spirit. Trembling all over, the deity drew near to kneel down, saying, "Great sage, the local spirit of Willow Slope kowtows to you. Don't be frightened," said Pilgrim, "for I'm not going to beat you. I have a question for you instead. This Pure Fluorescence Village of Willow Slope, where is it?" "There is here a Pure Fluorescence Cave," replied the local spirit, "but no Pure Fluorescence Village." This humble deity now perceives that the great sage perhaps has come here from the Bikyu kingdom. "Yes, yes," said Pilgrim. The Bikyu king had been duped by a monster spirit, but Old Monkey recognized the fiend when I reached the city. When that fiend was defeated by me in battle, he changed into a cold beam of light and vanished. I asked the Bikyu king, who told us that he did inquire after the fiend's residence 3 years ago when he presented a beautiful girl as tribute. The fiend claimed then that he used to live in the Pure Fluorescence Village on Willow Slope, some 70 miles south of the city. Just now I searched my way here and all I saw was the slope. Since I didn't find any village, I thought I would ask you. May the great sage pardon me, said the local spirit, kowtowing. Since the Bikyu king, after all, is also the lord of this land, it is the proper duty of this humble deity to take note of his plight. But the monster spirit has vast magic powers. Once I betray his secret, he will come and oppress me. That's why he has not been brought to justice. Now that the great sage has arrived, all you need do is to go up to a willow tree with 9 branches at the south bank of the brook. Circle around the trunk 3 times from left to right, and then 3 more times from right to left. Lean on the trunk with both hands and call 3 times, "Open the door." The pure fluorescence cave will appear. On hearing this, the great sage dismissed the local spirit before leaping over the brook with 8 rules to continue their search. Soon they found the tree, which had indeed 9 stems forking out from a single trunk. Pilgrim gave this instruction to 8 rules. Stand still at a distance, and let me call the door open. When I find the fiend and chase him out here, you may back me up. 8 rules agreed and stood about a quarter mile away. Following the words of the local spirit, our great sage circled the trunk 3 times from left to right and 3 times right to left. Leaning with both hands on the tree, he cried, "Open the door! Open the door! Open the door!" Instantly 2 leaves of a door opened with a loud creak, while the tree vanished entirely from sight. The inside was lit up by bright, luminous mists, but again there was no hint of any human inhabitant. Rousing his magic powers, Pilgrim dashed into the cave, and he discovered a nice place indeed. Mist and smoke luminous. Oblique rays of the sun and moon. White clouds that often leave the cave. Green moss that densely coats the yard. A pathful of strange blossoms vying for glamour. A stepful of rare grasses most luxuriant. Warm, temperate air. Makes perpetual spring. The place seems like Lang Yun. It's no worse than Peng and Ying. Long creepers spread o'er smooth benches. Tousled vines dangle from a flat bridge. Bees, red stamens in their mouths, come to the cave. Butterflies, playing with orchids, pass a rock screen. With big strides, Pilgrim dashed forward to take a careful look, and he saw 4 big words etched on the rock screen, "Pure Fluorescence Immortal Residence." Unable to restrain himself, he leapt around the screen to look further, and there he saw the old fiend hugging a beautiful girl to his bosom. Both panting hard, they were in the midst of discussing the affairs of the Bikyu kingdom. "What a marvelous opportunity," they said together. "Something we've been planning for 3 years, and it would have been completed today. But it's ruined by that ape head now." Darting up to them, Pilgrim whipped out his rod and cried, "You bunch of hairy lumps! What marvelous opportunity! Have a taste of my rod." Abandoning his beauty, the old fiend picked up his coiled dragon staff hurriedly to meet him. The 2 of them began another fierce battle in front of the cave that was quite different from the one before. The upraised rod beamed golden light. The wielded staff belched viciousness. The fiend said, "You fool! How dare you barge inside my door?" Pilgrim said, "I intend to subdue a fiend." The fiend said, "My tie to the king's not your concern. For what reason must you come oppress me?" Pilgrim said, "The priest's vocation is on mercy based. We can't bear seeing young boys put to death." Their words went back and forth, each full of hate. The staff met the rod, they aimed at the heart. They snapped strange flowers, watching for their lives. They kicked up lichens as they slipped and slid. They fought till the cave's bright mists had lost their glow. Till the ledge's fine blossoms all collapsed. The bing-bangs grounded the birds in fear. Their shoutings scared the beauty into flight. Only the old fiend and the Monkey King remained. As violent gusts of wind howled through the earth, they fought on and till they left the cave. When Wu Neng aroused his moronic might, 8 Rules, you see, was standing outside. When he heard them brawling inside, he became so excited that he could hardly contain himself. Whipping out his muckrake, he knocked down the willow tree with 9 branches with one terrific blow. As he raked the fallen trunk some more, fresh blood sprouted from the root and it emitted a sort of moaning sound. "This tree has become a spirit," said 8 Rules. "This tree has become a spirit." He lifted his rake and was about to bring it down again when he saw Pilgrim emerging with the fiend. Without a word, our idiot rushed forward and attacked with the rake. The old fiend was already finding it difficult to withstand Pilgrim. The sight of 8 Rules' rake, therefore, completely unnerved him. Turning to flee, he shook his body once and changed into a cold beam of light to head for the east. Unwilling to let up at all, the two of them instantly gave chase. As they shouted to close in for the kill, they suddenly heard the calls of Phoenix and Crane and saw the glow of auspicious luminosity. Then they caught sight of the aged star of South Pole, who had held down the cold beam of light. "Slow down, great sage," he cried. "And stop chasing, heavenly reeds. This old Taoist salutes you. Brother aged star."